Crrool coming in with the 5th best time of the tournament, and YoshiKyon coming in with the 8th best time. So as soon as you're in, you have to make a purchase. This game features a rather robust equipment glitch, so they need one hammer to start setting up the equipment glitch, as Crrool gets some bad NPC RNG there, standing in the way. They do a bunch of menuing because, hey, you want to get your menuing out of the way as fast as possible. The way the equipment glitch works in summary is weapons turn into armor, armor turns into weapons, it's all based on index values, and it's very crazy, but crazy in a good way. NPCs are the true final boss. Actually, bats are the true final boss, NPCs are the minions of them. As far as the equipment glitch goes, they will use bad weapons to turn into good armor, and they'll use bad armor to turn into good weapons. That'll be going out throughout. Question, what do they run on? Some will run on computer, others will run on actual console. So that hammer has turned into armor that we are able to use, called the Knight's Armor, and that is going to make us not quite invincible, but it's going to reduce most hits to 1 damage. We come on up here to the Chaos Shrine. It's this very rundown out of the place in the world. Who wants to spend a lot of time here? We just have to get 1 leather cap so that we can get a weapon. Because, remember, weapons turn into armor, armor turn into weapons, and it's a good time for all. This gives us Judgment Staff, which is one of the best weapons that you have access to for the game, especially for mages. Just FYI, I have been corrected that this is actually a best of 5 series, so I came in thinking we only got 3 matches between these two. Now we get 5. That's even better. It's like double the Final Fantasy. So this Judgment Staff that we picked up allows us to cast Flare, which is the best black magic spell in the game AoE. Of course, we don't use that against Garland because he's Garland and he's weak, and we can just pummel him with the staff, and pummel him with the stick and he falls over. Once we have the princess rescued, she will take us back to the castle. The early games to give you a good warp like that out of dungeons, it was nice. With the princess rescued, it's also really important to go up and talk to her to get the loot. In the NES version, you could forget it. In the PSP version, it will not let you forget it, but if you try and walk out the room, you're going to get an extra cutscene thing where she tells you about the loot and gives it to you, and it just takes longer. We don't want longer. This is a speedrun. Speaking of speedrun, you have to admire how fast these guys can build a bridge. This is some impressive speed building of this bridge. So our happy builders finished this. 1 or more of them may be named Bob, who knows. But it enables us to explore more of the world. That was one of the things the Final Fantasy I did to lock your progression in, is just give you various means of travel that gradually start to unlock the world. As far as these random encounters on the overworld, we're not very concerned about them. There's a couple out there in the world that are unrunnable, but basically you'll see runners running. That's what runners do. But whenever we see these random encounters, the general theme is going to be run away as quickly as possible, get me out of here, I have better things to do with my time. There will, however, be encounters that are unrunnable, and and runners must face them. But especially in this early game, we're extremely overpowered and able to deal with them via the judgment staffs if necessary. There will be a couple encounters along the way that have a unique ability to mess with us. We'll deal with those as we come to them. So this is a matchup of a couple of our international players. Yoshi is from the UK, also runs FF7, and new to picking up the PSP run, only doing it since June. Crrool is from the Netherlands, fun fact, a physics teacher, has several speedrun world records, including one of the Phoenix Wright games, and has several categories for FF1, so a lot of experience here for Crrool with the game. Pirates are a boss, question mark, but happen to be one of the weakest enemies in the game. Judgment Staff deals with them AoE easily, and away they go. You do have a little bit of route divergence based on runners in this town. Some like to come up to talk to the pirates first, others like to do their shopping first because it takes NPCs out of the way. In this town, there'll be less NPCs before you beat the pirates than after. Once they're gone, all the NPCs return to the town in normal, to simulate hiding from the pirates, etc. But Crrool is finished with that and has the ship, which enables more exploration of the world. As Yoshi now also picks up the ship. The next destination is going to be the Elf Town. Welcome one fine day to the chat. Hope you're having a good one. After Elfland, we have to get over to the Marsh Cave because we need our next plot item, which is down there in the Marsh Cave. There will also be some very important shopping happening in this town, but they route through there to take a couple steps off and not face random encounters that way. Whenever the game is going to give you a free step, you generally want to take it. Also, Dragon Lord, good morning and welcome to the chat. Yoshi just got ambushed by the ogre. That ambush means the enemies are all going to attack before you get a turn. And Sir Puffin also welcome to the chat. So you have 4 statuses that the battle can go through. You can get ambushed, you can get a preemptive, which is you ambushing them, you can get a chance to strike first, or you can just get a normal encounter. Our favorite is the preemptive because then runs are guaranteed, and they really don't want to waste time in random encounters. So once in the Marsh Cave, we are interested in finding the crown, which is sitting here in the game's first room with a trap tile, so we know what's coming. And that is what was a very nasty enemy in the vanilla game, but with our judgment staffs, these Pisca demons are not going to be a threat. Getting 3 of them. You can get up to 4. There's not a ton of difference, really. You just want your turn to go off. It would be mildly better to have 4 instead of 3, just because you're casting an AoE and it doesn't take any longer. Yoshi is our first to pick up the crown. The crown is our plot progression item, going to allow us to continue on in the game. And Crrool is going to be quickly picking it up as well. So although Yoshi has a lead right now, this is very much in the margin of error. A couple encounters can swing this around at any given time. Mention real quickly how they got here. Crrool went 4-0 in bracket play with wins over Xanthe and Forsyth. Yoshi got here also 4-0 in bracket play with wins over Kanucker and Tenshi. Chat asks, how long is this run? Well, if you want to go by PBs for a good indicator, Crrool has a 127.34 PB, and Yoshi has a 128.25 PB. So something in the 1 hour 30-minute mark is a very reasonable expectation. I think both runners would be satisfied if they put up anything that was sub 130, but they're going to target, as low a 127 as they can get. But a lot has to go right for that. Our next destination is going to be up here to this little rundown, fixer-upper castle. It's just here waiting for somebody to come in and flip. But this western keep, we have a king. He asked us to find his crown, or at least he would have if we'd come talk to him before, but who had time for that? And it turns out he was Estus all along. The Dark Elf King, trying to take over. He wanted to steal the crown. And we're going to whack him with the stick. That's good RNG for Estus for him to attack. That is the best thing he's going to do. He has a spell list that can be rather annoying. So having him not use a spell speeds things up, like just happened for Crrool. And you also don't want him doing it to the wrong person, and the mages was not ideal. So, much better battle RNG there for Yoshi than for Crrool. And it matters a bit because Astos is actually surprisingly good not HP. He is a boss, though. He has surprisingly good EXP. See a level 8 white mage for Yoshi, and we get the Crystal Eye, which is going to be taken back to Matoya the Witch, who is hanging out in her cave. And only a level 6 white mage for Crrool, so that's the difference of living through Astos. We'll have to sail back on the ship to the north. It is nice to take as much travel on the ship as you're able to. It has a lower encounter rate than the world does. And then a couple spells to pick up. The Fyra and Thundera. Very good AoE. Blizzara as well. In this version of the game, they will actually scale, so they will get better as your stats get better, which is going to make them significantly stronger in the late game. Another important purchase here is the gold needles. That cures the stone element, the stone status effect, which is a prominent thing that happens throughout portions of this game, and it is an extreme pain. So you need a few of those just to be prepared, or else it can really wreck your run. I touched on the idea of encounters being unrunnable earlier. The Pisca Demons were actually our first example that we ran into. You had to fight them. Other than that, everything we're seeing, it's just run away, run away, run away. That is going to change in a little bit. We're going to intentionally take some encounters to get levels up, but that's still a little bit away. So again, this is a very execution-based route. They know where they want to go. They know how they have to get there. They have planned out exactly what equipment and whatnot that they want to pick up, and then they have to go and execute the route as well as they can. Of course, the funny thing about that is the better you execute, the more the run becomes about RNG. But that's speedrunning for you. Hard things become easy, easy things become hard. The Jolt Tonic is obtained for Yoshi. This is going to be taken down to see the Elf Prince. And just a very, very close battle continuing between these two runners. That's exactly what we expected coming in. I mean, both of these runners had times on the fastest loss. Crrool had the third fastest loss of the tournament, and Yoshi had the sixth fastest loss. So that means despite how fast their time was, somebody still beat them by running that incredible of a run. So these two have been playing it at a high level throughout. No surprise that they're here. This is another one of the status effects in the game. The big eyes are using a status attack that causes stun. Stun will take away your turn. It'll also lower your defense. So if we were against a more threatening encounter, that could be a really scary thing for your party, but Sags are weak. And Yoshi, not getting away, just opts to cast the Thunder to get out of here. Crrool going with the split strats. I'm fond of calling this nuke and run. I do that from the randomizer, but it applies regardless, and it's just you're casting an AoE spell and you're running, so whichever way it works, you're happy with it. It's just get me out of here. And it ends up being, for both of them, it was faster to get the Thunder off and kill everything. Question in chat, what advantages does the PSP version have over the NES version? The biggest thing that this does is the equipment glitch. The basic premise of the game is the same. If you didn't have the equipment glitch, this still might be faster than the NES because of the dash. But you can't map the encounters. The encounters are truly random in this, other than like zones and things like that. But which encounter you're going to get into a zone, you can't route it out like you can the NES version. But this equipment glitch is very much the signature. Yoshi's going to show it off again, because this is a great time to. He's going to pick up the Thief's Armlet for his new armor. And he's also going to pick up a Sage's Staff for the White Mage. That will be for stats, as opposed to the Judgment Staff, which is for offense. The Judgment Staff casting Flare. And when you get that out of the first treasure chest in the game, that's pretty powerful, as you can imagine. With the gear set up, we have to go pick up the Nitro Powder, which if you talk to NPCs, they'll give you hints, things like that. We don't need that, we know where everything is. So it's sail on north to pick up the Nitro Powder. And this is your early Melmont warning system. There will be a visit to Melmont incoming. Everyone has been duly warned. Don't let it surprise you. Alright, so Yoshi into the castle, gonna pick up the Nitro Powder here. And then we can go on about our day. Yeah, I will mention, if you'd like to see everything explained in more detail, I do recommend the Discord. There's a lot of guides and a lot of helpful people who will help you get started if you're interested in this route. There are, of course, other routes to this version, but as far as tournament play, this any % route gets the most love. If I'm not mistaken, Crrool actually has runs of this game in all bosses and full beastry. So fighting some of everything. What is Total Chaos? Well, Chaos is the final boss of this one. So we have to totally fight Chaos, totally. No, I'm kidding. Your biggest Chaos is the RNG. You have a lot of RNG in the run. A lot is going to be beyond your control. Especially the better you play, the less you can control. Because everything that's left over is RNG. So unlike Chrono Trigger, where an any percent route would know exactly what damage is going to be done by a hit, what enemy they're going to fight where and when, they will not know what enemy they're going to fight. They're going to take attacks that they would rather not take. They could very well have party wipes and die. That is very much a thing that happens in the tournament regularly. So it would not be strange to see a couple of deaths happen on either runner's side throughout the course of this run. If that's not chaotic, what is? About 20 minutes in, we use the nitro powder to open up the canal, and that is going to enable us to move on throughout. Well, this is a tournament. Total Chaos is the name of the tournament, and it is the any percent PSP run. And if you've never seen this run, I don't know that I would call it normal. Alright, so Yoshi has finished with our buddy Narek, moving on in the world. Crrool now doing the same. Our next destination is going to be the town of Melmond, which becomes very important to the run because we pick up a very important weapon out of this town. Melmond doesn't have much, but it has one piece of armor that we want. So we were asked earlier about the differences of the PSP version versus the NES version. Another thing that's very notable is the bonus dungeons. There are several bonus dungeons in this game, which is where something like the Judgment Staff comes from, which had no equivalent in the NES version. It comes out of one of the bonus dungeons. So does this Barbarian Sword. It comes out of one of the bonus dungeons. And because of the equipment glitch, we're able to pick it up not only in the early game, but without ever doing the dungeon. So, much better for us. The other thing they do in Melmond is sell off the Knight's armor, because that lets them have money. Alright, Shadows. Now is where our enemies start getting a little more annoying. These just cause the darkness status. But we have more enemies that can ambush us here. We also have unrunnable encounters that can show up here, including the Pisca demons that we fought as the boss of the Marsh Cave. They now become a random encounter here in the Earth Cave. So worth noting, there is a divergence in routes that you can see runners make coming up to the Earth Cave. Neither of these runners did it, but on the ship there is a mini game, and you can use the second place finish for a chance at an item called Emergency Exit, which allows you to cast Exit. And that would save you a couple of minutes of walking out of the Earth Cave. Either runner opted for the gamble, but that is one of the divergences you will see depending on runners. Third floor, the vampire floor. This is where you have to worry a little bit about your random encounters, so Yoshi does the safety save. You also have to worry about the bats, because, oh boy, when they want to mess with you, they can mess with you. Getting pretty good patterns out of the bats here. Yeah, those good patterns out of the bats, and then this bat is vampire. Coming out with Gaze, that's not very threatening to us, and it won't even work. But one hit of the Barbarian Sword, actually it was 4 hits, but one attack, and we're done. And there's the Star Ruby for Yoshi. Crrool is up against one of the nasty encounters you can get here. These enemies turn your party to stone. So this is why it was essential we pick up those gold needles back at Elfland, because we knew this enemy was possible here. And Yoshi getting the bad RNG. Not bad RNG, bat RNG. It's even worse than bad RNG. Crrool, meanwhile, got the Biscuit Demons. They are unrunnables, so back-to-back unpleasant encounters. What are the two things under the timers? Those are little replica images like statues of chaos, so it shows the score of the matchup. This is the first of a best of 5 for these two runners. So as they complete games, the winner will have one of those lit up to indicate what the score of the matchup is. So you've caught the first battle between these two. And they have plenty more ahead. This is actually a best of 5, although the tournament up to now has been best of 3, so that just has to be updated display purposes, and that'll get done. The Star Ruby is our next plot progression item. We had to come all the way through the Earth Cave to get it. Ooh, Crrool is definitely getting some worse encounters here, but gets away, fortunately. Make no mistake, Crrool is not happy about those encounters, though. Just seeing them and knowing the risk is there is not a pleasant feeling. What's the average run duration, chat asks. If you do under a 130 in this, you're quite happy with that. As far as PB goes, you're talking 127, 128 range. This giant's cave, there's a big stone giant in the way who apparently eats rubies. So as soon as we give that to him, he's going to let us out of the way. Well, he's going to get out of the way and let us past. Don't mix your metaphors. It's not really a good idea. So Crrool has gotten slowed down a bit coming out of this Earth Cave. So again, this is a big difference from what you'd seen in the NES version, where it was an encounter table, you could route it out. That preemptive is nice because his run is guaranteed. But it's total RNG for what encounters you're going to fight and how often. So you can absolutely see some variation between the runners even when they're on the exact same route. Now, the encounters are still restricted based on what area you're in. So, for example, you're not going to see one of the in-game monsters show up here. The monsters are predetermined per zone, but which of those monsters you face, that's going to be RNG. So, we're able to go through the Giant's Cave, get down to the Sage Sarda here. He gives us the Earth Rod, and that's what's going to enable us to progress in the game next. In this area, we particularly have to worry about some stun touch enemies, and even if they don't wipe us out, they can waste a lot of time if they get the entire party stun locked. So a question in chat about how the NES version does it. In the NES version, you know exactly how many steps it is to the next encounter. In the PSP version, every step moves you closer in the threat encounter towards... It ups the odds that you are going to get an encounter. Not sure exactly how I want to say that, but you might go from a 50% chance to a 60% chance to a 70% chance. I'm not saying those are the numbers. Just saying with every step, your encounter chance increases. So as opposed to a table where you know exactly, here it's RNG, but your RNG gets worse with every step. It's a good run through the second floor for Yoshi. Now back up to the vampire floor. Really great run through this floor. That's an incredible trip through here. Now it gets the Pisca Demons, so the unrunnable encounter. Once your Black Mage gets to a certain level, the Thundra actually becomes faster than the Judgment Staff. The reason for that is it just has to do enough damage to one-shot them, and then the spell animation is faster. Spell animation is absolutely a thing, and even if any one time it's only a couple of seconds, well, seconds really add up over the course of a run, and we've seen a couple of these be decided by under 10 seconds. In other words, menuing is really, really important because it adds up in the end. Tarantula's good encounter. And then Yoshi is here to Lich and opts for the safety save. Good move. Because you do have to respect this Lich. We are at a very low level, and we're very well prepared to deal with physical damage, not so much spell damage right now. And if Lich opens with his Blizzard attack, then this gets real unpleasant real quick. Torn Order is good, and Yoshi takes Lich down without seeing a spell. That's fantastic. Crrool having some trouble with the wolves. Interesting that he has the poison on the knight. He may actually use that to set up for something later. We will see. Yeah, this encounter is not nice. Can't get away. Now Crrool does. And he does cure up the poison on the knight. So some runners will use that poison status to a deeper point in the game. You don't seek it out, but if it happens, there is a plan that involves using it. And Yoshi is going to be finished with the Earth Cave. This Earth Cave has definitely caused a separation between the two runners. They were neck and neck, and now Yoshi has a couple of floors and a boss fight ahead. There's the Pisca Demons again, so this an unrunnable encounter. You do have to take them out. We're going to use the Judgment Staff to be sure. One thing you don't want is that to take any more time than it has to. So for Yoshi, we board the ship and we sail for Crescent Lake. Now we had access to Crescent Lake before this, it just wouldn't do any good. But now with the Earth Fiend defeated, we are able to make things happen. Yoshi getting held up by the Sahagins. But now back on its way. Again, the encounter's just coming fast and furious for Crrool in this Earth Cave. That is a really unpleasant way to have your time spent. Also, these Wraiths with Stun Touch, that is an annoyance, because if they get your whole party stun locked, it can take a long time to get out of it. That's why Crrool opts for the Judgment Staff to be sure this gets done. You'd rather run away and save the time, but you want to get out of that fight. Now Crrool up to Lich. And again, you'll see this safety save because Lich can do unpleasant things. And we don't want unpleasant, we want pleasant. Chat says there are several Crrool encounters throughout the run. Oh yes, there are. And sometimes it's one you don't even consider Crrool that ends up trolling you. Lich attacks on the first round for Crrool. That's fantastic RNG because he's going down to the melee. That was near perfect RNG for Crrool. The only thing that could happen better was you attack first. Crrool is joining us in chat and says that's the worst Earth Cave he's had in a long time. I believe it. Alright, so in Crescent Lake we have some shopping stuff we have to do. We're going to buy Mithril Gloves and the Mithril Axe. This turns into the Black Carb and the Lust Dagger. The Lust Dagger would go onto the White Mage for stats. Now that is a little bit different route, so not everybody's going to do it. But those are the things that happen here. Then we come over to see the Circle of Sages. They exist for, well, a couple of reasons in-game, but for our purposes, just to give us the canoe. In-game, they will actually tell you where to go once you've restored all 4 orbs, but not much else. They do also ask you to stop the Fiend of Fire. So our canoe lets us travel across rivers now. And although they asked us to go up to the volcano and stop the Fiend of Fire, we have other things to do. So we come back to the ship and head up to this northern river system. This river system doesn't connect with the one around Crescent Lake, so you have to actually sail to it. And this leads to the Ice Cave, which is going to be the next destination for Yoshi. And then we'll get a really good benchmark between the two runners when they enter Earth, when they enter the Ice Cave. As far as these river encounters go, there's nothing that's particularly inviting. If we didn't have the armor that we do, the crit rates could very much be a thing that do a lot of damage to us. Instead, we're going to have Yoshi going into the Ice Cave, and there are plenty of threats in the Ice Cave. Usually, because we're able to save anywhere in the PSP version, they'll save right when they enter here. That's a 3820, starting for Yoshi. And first encounters the Pisca Demons in a larger pack than we've seen them anywhere else. So yes, this Ice Cave is a significant difficulty spike versus where we were. And that's not even the scary thing. So we have to worry about the dragons here, we have to worry about the mind flayers here. Because Death Touch is the thing. There's also more unrunnable encounters here than anywhere else we've been in the game so far, which, you know, that makes sense. The Ice Cave, very quick to get through. If you're familiar with the NES names, the sorcerers would be the Mind Flayers in this version. But yes, they are here with Death Touch. And this trap tile to deal with? Not bad. So Yoshi taking intentional damage here on the Ice Patch. The Ice Patch will drain 1 HP per hit, so you walk enough, you damage the fighter and the thief. because we are going to do a level grind of the mages, so Yoshi is setting up for that. And doesn't need to take them all the way down, just needs to take them down enough. That's the final floor of the ice cave. We have to come up to this little break in the ice. And then here is the eye. We're going to be seeing a good bit of the eye here. Yoshi's going to defend. He wants the eye to use an AoE to take out both the knight, the fighter at this point, and the thief. How could you viewers play games like these? Well, if you want to join the Discord, and that command should be working from the bot, you'll have all kinds of information available for getting started on this route. Yoshi takes out his first eye. He got his thief and fighter down, and that's what he wants. He wants to level up just these two mages right now as much as possible. Not as much as possible. You could do a lot more, but he wants to get to a target here. That target will vary a little bit based on the runner. But this is basically where you do the bulk of your level grind, and then everything else that happens will just be incidental on the way. Yeah, chat. I fixed myself on that before you said anything. Pointing out that yes, you could go to level 50. And this would be the enemy to do that on if you really wanted to. This is an unrunnable encounter, by the way. Now, because we want to kill it, that doesn't really come up too much. But what's significant about that for our purposes is that this encounter cannot ambush us. Yoshi checking the level to make sure he's getting where he wants to be. So it's 18. I think Yoshi did the 18 plus 1. And now going to move on with the dungeon. Well, for Crrool, much like with Yoshi, the eye didn't want to cooperate the first turn. Now does. So Crrool's going to be... It really is just this level grind behind. For Yoshi, that's one of the worst encounters in the dungeon. The Ice Gigas and Wolves. The Wolves cast Blizzard, and enough of those is going to wipe out your party, and it is also an unrunnable encounter. So that's one of the scary ones in this ice cave. And yes, the stone status spurts are back, so there is that as well. It's pretty hard to forget the Levistone. They're definitely going to get that here. So the one negative about this spot for level grinding is there is the chance of random encounters like Crrool has picked up here with the Wraiths and Spectres. Yeah, he went for Judgment Staff right away. Didn't want to waste time even risking a runaway with only the two mages. And then back on track to fight the eyes. So this level grind, the biggest difference between the runners right now, Crrool with it ongoing. Yoshi is going to come all the way down here to this little desert and then pick up his airship. Which, even though it comes out of a desert, can't land on a desert. Never gotten an answer on that one, why that is, but it is. Just one of those quirks of FF1. Crrool has revived the whole party instead of just the thief. As far as the run goes, it's actually going to be the thief who's the main damage dealer, not the fighter. You know what? That's a plausible good reason. Thank you, chat. Can't land on desert because it'll sink. You know what? It's sunk in the desert before. That's a fair reason. Our next destination is up here in the northern part of the world. This is called the Citadel of Trials. It is where we obtain the tail for class change. And this very quick to do when you know the route. So it was quote-unquote intended to be a maze. However, the answer is always go for the lower pillar. There's only 4 rooms where you have to make a choice. They know the right choice, so this is very quick to get through. There are a few encounters here that are quite unpleasant to deal with. Hadn't seen any of them yet. The Minotaur zombies are going to be unrunnable. So they waste a little bit of time, but they're going to be easy enough to kill. Right, and then this is the final floor of the Citadel of Trials. You're going to get this nightmare encounter. Now, this is a runnable enemy, however, it's a really high agility enemy, so running is by no means guaranteed, and that causes some runners to opt for killing them off instead for the sure thing. Chat pointing out that those same zombies are at the Peninsula Power. Yes, they are. But we don't go there in this run. So you don't want too much out of here, but a couple of treasures we're going to pick up. Also, if your level grind against the eyes was off at all, this is a place you can make some of that time up. There is going to be an encounter here right before the throne of this zombie dragon. It can be 1 to 2 zombie dragons. They're a really good source of experience, so if you need to make anything up, that's a reasonable place to do it. And then Yoshi is going to be out of the Citadel of Trials a little bit before Crrool is going to be able to get in there. Now, we hadn't seen any of the encounters so far do anything too nasty other than be there. Crrool saw them in increasing frequency, but nothing has really threatened us right now like it can. Once you return to the airship, the next destination is going to be to see our friend, the Dragon King Bahamut. So Yoshi went down there to a visual cue to be in line for this island. world is round in Final Fantasy 1, so even for things like North and South, you can find visual cues to line up for and make sure you're going to the right place. So for giving Bahamut the rat tail, he will give us a class change for our party. That's significant because it lets our Black Mage become Black Wizard and learn all magic spells. The White Mage gets to learn all white magic spells. And then also the Knight is able to learn white magic, and more importantly, the Ninja is able to learn black magic. So in particular, we're hoping that we want the Ninja to be able to learn Haste for a later part of the run. Crrool finding the Medusas. Yoshi didn't even see them in there, but those Medusas can turn your party to stone, so they are not a welcome sight at all. This caravan shop important for two reasons. One, the bottle, and the other, the Giant's tonics that Yoshi picked up there. Giant's tonics are a bonus item in this game. That one might be unrunnable, Yoshi. I'm pretty sure that one is. Gets a blaze off. So this is that weird encounter. This is the weirdest unrunnable in the game. Because those enemies by themselves are supposed to be a runnable encounter, but it's by formation. So that formation is 0 to 1 or 0 to 2 of the Ogre Chieftains, Wiz Ogres, and that encounter is actually unrunnable. So even though you don't see that Ogre, it still is that formation, and thus it is unrunnable. How close is Crrool to not needing the Giant Tonic? Not really close at all, I don't think. Because you use it for the mages. So you need you'd need over 300 HP base on the mages before you could even consider that. Which you could level grind to that point, but there is RNG in how much HP you gain, so it would vary per run instead of being consistent. So I don't think anybody would consider that worth doing. Also, you waste more time grinding levels than you would just buying potions from a shop you have to go to anyways. Next destination for Yoshi is the volcano. This is where the sages wanted us to go all along. Of course, the floor is lava, so you will take damage with every step over the red/orange. But you won't get an encounter. Now, what you do have to be mindful of is your HP, because once you're on solid ground again, you can get encounters. And you really don't want to get one with everybody at 1 HP. Yoshi has got very good RNG to not get an encounter here yet. Boy, that was brave. It was a phenomenal run, and everybody was just at 1 HP. That was very risky. It's well-routed, well-executed, of course, but there was a chance for encounter numerous points there. And at 1 HP, they could have wiped you out. Almost anything could have. Instead, we get our next Fiend. This is the Fiend of Fire, Merilith, and probably the least threatening. Fiend number 2 is defeated. Crrool gonna come to Melmon first for spells. Picking up the heal spell and teleport. As far as our spells now, the other big one is haste. So the magic system did change in the PSP version. It is an MP-based system in battle, but you only get 3 spots like you did in Final Fantasy 1 NES version. So it's not quite a volcano difference between these two runners right now, because Crrool already routed to get these spells done. However, Yoshi had just an absolutely phenomenal volcano. I mean, I cannot think of a way that volcano could have gone better. Now we'll see how it goes for Crrool. As Yoshi's going to retrace Crrool's steps and pick up spells. So here we go. Crrool gets an encounter. Stun, status, attack. Doesn't get there. Running hasn't worked. Running didn't work. Crrool's gonna go an extra round with this. But he's away. So there's a lot of lava in here that you can take advantage of. And because Crrool stopped and picked up the healing spells first, opts to do that to heal the whole party faster than using potions. Gets another encounter. Minotaurs this time. The Ice Gigas, if they have stats that they can hit hard, but your concerns there, that's an unrunnable encounter, so you have to take them out. But the wolves are the ones you're worried about because they cast Blizzard. So, seeing a bunch of wolves cast Blizzard is not fun. Yoshi's going to be the first into the siege. 5730 on that. And that'll be a good point of convergence where we'll see what the gap is at right now. Crrool takes care of business with Merilith. Being number 2 defeated. This Sea Shrine is home to, of course, more unpleasant enemies, because why wouldn't it be? We have some unrunnable formations. The Sahagan formation, when we see 9 of them, that will be unrunnable. Ghosts are unrunnable, and one of the strongest enemies. Fortunately, they only hit once, but boy can they hit. Ooh, 5 ghosts is not nice. This is unrunnable, so they can't ambush. And we take him out with the fire spell, so that went well. Just believe me when I say that that's actually kind of a scary encounter. The water elementals, if they're by themselves, will be an unrunnable formation. And we are here with the mermaids. Yes, there's mermaids in the rooms, but we don't need to talk to them in this route. Instead, we just need to find this Rosetta Stone. Crrool gonna pick up the bottle and the Giant's Tonics. And this is what we wanted teleport for, or at least it's a big part of it. It'll take you back 1 floor, so we use that to save a bunch of walking. It will not be the last time we use that spell. And the light axe is obtained. There are 2 light axes in the game. You'll see one of them picked up as part of the route. Switching up our gear now to the survival vests. Now, one of the things you may have noticed is they started putting things in the shield slot, whereas earlier they were only using the other 3 armor spots. That's so you don't softlock the game. There's only certain items that can actually go into that shield slot. Otherwise, there is the risk of soft-locking the game. And that's kind of unpleasant. So next destination is to the end of this shrine to fight the Kraken, also known as the most dapper of the fiends. And it's going to be about 3.5 minutes between entries coming into this sea shrine, so Yoshi's got a significant advantage here, just played really well throughout. And also, definitely some things have gone good, so when you combine those, you're on pace for a really good time. This is the final floor. Again, concern here would be seeing waters and ghosts, just because they're unrunnable and they can waste our time. The sharks we can absolutely run from, though. So the more sharks, the better. There's less of them, too, so rather the sharks than any other encounter in here. 102 is going to see Yoshi versus Kraken. $1,800 damage, that's going to be all we need. Kraken is defeated. As Crrool picks up the Rosetta Stone. Oh yes, Kraken will go down very quick in this round. Two hits are generally going to be enough. This is a very powerful weapon. The Barbarian swords that we have equipped are a weapon from the added bonus dungeon in the PSP version, which is just completely overpowered for this point in the game. You could say it's just completely overpowered, period, and stop the sentence there. It's still accurate. Yoshi is finished with the Sea Shrine. That leaves us only one fiend to be dealt with. We are going to head up north here to the waterfall first. This is going to be significant for a couple of items. Worth noting that there is a encounter here in particular that's noteworthy. And that is the green dragons. If we see one, it is a rare encounter. It is an unrunnable encounter. And it casts damage poison, which isn't nice to us at all. Crrool picks up the light axe. Yoshi almost all the way through here. One trap tile to be dealt with. Ooh, bad formation. But Yoshi's away. That ribbon is one of the most significant items of the game, particularly defensively. And it's going to make the rest of the run a lot more safe than the first half actually was, because it gives us a lot of magic protections. The warp cube, meanwhile, was our plot item that we were here for. Now, what's going to happen next is they're actually going to use the equipment glitch to make the ribbon a piece of armor, a weapon actually, because once you do that, you can reverse glitch that weapon back into multiple ribbons and give everybody a ribbon. Although there are 4 available in this version of the game, this way we only have to find 1. And 1 becomes 4. Now, Crrool to do battle with the Dapper Kraken. I say battle as if this was going to be close. It was not going to be close. Does Ribbon null status effects like other Final Fantasies? The short answer is yes. The longer answer is there is a critical risk that ribbons can still fail. In particular, what it's going to do for us is reduce elemental damage. So if something's casting a blizzard on us, then that damage is going to be cut dramatically. So as we encounter more enemies that do things like that, it makes them substantially safer for us to deal with. Forsyth joins us in the chat. The man who can answer these questions much better than I. Says we have just about a 3-minute difference between these 2 runners. Just the story of this has been both of them playing pretty well. Yoshi got through some of the early dungeons faster, just that's the way the encounters went. No big mistakes between either runner. And Crrool, just looking for an opportunity to make up time, hasn't gotten it yet. Lufenia now is where we will pick up our last progression item, this being the chime. And the chime allows us access to the Mirage Tower. And again, teleport just saves us walking time. We want to save all the time we can. Crrool now to navigate the waterfall. You have bats here too, but this is probably the most pleasant that the bats get. I don't think there's any 1-gaps that they can actually block for you, so that part is nice. Also home to the legendary out-of-bounds bat. Although there's actually 2 out-of-bounds bats, the other one's just not as legendary. Once we have the chime, we already picked up the cube, which gives us the ability to complete the Mirage Tower, getting to Tiamat, the last of the 4 fiends. But the encounter rate is starting to catch up with Yoshi here. He's getting a little what Crrool already had. Just a lot of encounters back to back to back right there. We're going to pick up the Warp Stone. And now another good point out of chat. This is, of course, where Warmac lives, so we have chance. There is a chance. As far as the random encounters go, generally not a lot we're going to worry about. These vampires, they're, as an enemy, the exact same as the one we fought back at Earth Cave, which we one-shot, so Obviously, they're not that threatening if we had to kill them. Chad asked, Yoshi got a Tyrannosaur and nobody notices. If you're thinking of the NES, that Tyrannosaur is actually the Tyro. That's not the T-Rex. I believe the T-Rex name in this version is the Allosaurus. So we did not see the rare encounter. Blue Dragon, this trap tile, unrunnable, but easy to deal with. Flying Fortress now. This is a little bit different encounter table here. Mostly stuff we're not worried about. Oh, I apologize. Apparently there was an Allosaurus, so we did get the... that guy's even rarer than Warback. Now I'm sad. Now you depressed me, Chad. I missed it. I was looking over the screens. These air elementals, they're the only elemental that is a runnable encounter. Part of what makes this a little bit easier. This maze floor isn't much of a maze. You just have to go to one direction, to another direction, and you're there. So you can go 2 right, 2 up, you're there. You can go 2 down, either. Doesn't matter. As long as you do something like that, you'll get there. No Warmack yet, but there's still a chance. As Yoshi prepares for battle against Tiamat. And down goes Tiamat. Tiamat goes down. It looks like Yoshi is going to have the full Mirage Tower lead. We get these little scenes throughout this unlocking bonus dungeons as we defeat the fiends. The Winter Wolves, these are runnable, but the concern with them is that they would throw off blizzards, because enough of them would be really pleasant. So Yoshi's seeing the scene that introduces the final bonus dungeon. We don't want to mess with that, though. This encounter is unrunnable. That is runnable. That enemy was unrunnable earlier, but it was a different formation. This formation is. But it still casts Blaze, and you can see the reduced damage because of the ribbons. You also saw that sword come up. That's actually a shield block with the ribbon. And Yoshi is into the Chaos Shrine at 114. So this, of course, home to most of the unrunnable encounters in the game. And Green dragons are unrunnable. They are also capable of casting damage poison, which can be really unpleasant. Tornado goes in Yoshi's favor, and the blizzard takes them out. That's an encounter you have to respect, because it is capable of doing things. This Death Eye boss in our way, not for long. And finally we get to use that loot that's been sitting in our inventory this whole time. Apparently somewhere over the course of the last hour we learned how to play it too, so that's good. The zombie dragon's this unrunnable, but not particularly threatening. And again, those spells, they level up in their damage as your character stats increase, so it becomes faster to do the element spells to kill them off than it is to do the judgment staff. Now this is unrunnable. The Ice Gigas and Winter Wolves, if they got... It's something where we want turn order because 6 blizzards could be really, really unpleasant. Jed asks, what happened to Crrool? Really, nothing did. It's just been the case of how the runs can go differently for one runner versus another. It's just what encounters you took, how long they took to get through, and things have just gone really well for Yoshi. The white dragons, this is one of the enemies you have to worry about. Here's Ice Storm. Now one's not bad. The trouble is if you take 3 of them. It gets the fire off, and they are out of the way. Crrool can take on his final fiend with Tiamat here. So Yoshi is onto the earth floor. Speaking of Earths, the unrunnable Earth Elementals, the first time we see them today. And we see them again, because why not? Good Tiamat fight for Crrool. We'll be heading out from here onto the Chaos Shrine. That is a lot of Earth encounters for Yoshi. Now the Medusas, they can turn your party to stone. That is a concern, but Yoshi gets away. And then we should see Yoshi take the safety save before Lich, because you do have to respect Lich. Here's why you have to respect Lich. What's Flare gonna roll against us? As long as we survive, we can recover. And it's good enough here, I think. Yeah, Yoshi survives. You'll take that. You will absolutely take that, as opposed to redoing the fight. Now Yoshi is onto the fire floor as Crrool is about to enter. Someone pointing out this is why you get extra Phoenix Downs. Yeah, you want to have more items than you actually need, because it's actually easier to buy them in 11s instead of you buying them one at a time. So it works out well to have that extra safety. Now, Crrool has a chance to make up some time by having better encounters throughout here. Here's poison gas coming out. That's what you don't want to see. And again, it's quantities more than specifically the skill, other than Flare from Lich. One Flare from Lich could wipe out the party. Marilith getting the spell off, that's not what you want to see. It just takes more time. And anytime we're in these Fiends fights, you want to see them go to the physical attacks instead of the spells, because it's faster. But Yoshi is through and onto the water floor. Crrool gives us a concert, although we don't have audio, so don't get to hear it, but breaks the plate and moves on through the Chaos Shrine. The Ice Gigas will fight. This is not what you want to see. First Ice Storm off. The more of these, the worse, but the damage is low enough at this point, it's not that threatening. Yeah, it would take a lot of these before you'd actually be under threat, so the Judgment Staff is going to take care of business. And here's Yoshi versus Kraken. This Kraken not very threatening to us. He's actually one of the strongest enemies, but because our armor is so good, it's not very threatening. Now Yoshi onto the air floor. No fights before Tiamat. Uses a haste, but didn't get the turn order for it right. Chat pointing out that this is the Moss Immune floor as well. We will not go for that in this run. We've got Barbarian Swords. We don't need no Moss Immune. The White Dragons for Crrool. This is one of the encounters you don't want to see, and you do not want to see it casting a bunch of Ice Storm. It's Iron Golem! What is this run for Yoshi? An Iron Golem on top of it all! Oh my, so Yoshi now gets ready for battle with Chaos. Yoshi has seen some of the rarest of the rare that this game has to offer. I mean, the only thing more we could have asked for was a War Mech. But we have seen rarer than War Mech. I mean, this run for Yoshi is rarer than War Mech by a factor of over 3. Like, 3 times as rare as seeing a War Mech. Yoshi on a terrific pace here, entering the Chaos fight. There is a lot that can go wrong in the Chaos fight. There's a lot that can go right in the Chaos fight. So there's a lot of setup on this first round. It's perhaps the most critical round. The biggest thing you're looking for is no one to die. The Giant's Tonics will increase your HP. You're getting the spell set up with the haste, and also the White Mage is set up to be the one to take the turn last. How do we do with this? That works well. The infectious one, Will Cleosis, is in chat now. Crrool gets the Fire Elementals. They're a little bit rare on this floor. They are unrunnable. Yoshi has the good setup at this point. Oh, is the Black Mage going to live through Tsunami? These spells are time-consuming. The biggest thing is make sure you live, and that's going well. The haste is off on the Knight and Ninja. You'll probably see it next round on the Black Mage. Not necessarily everyone will do that, but at this point the Black Mage has cast everything he needs to. Also, Maya's in the chat. Hello, Maya. It's an FF1 rando takeover in the chat. Alright, great pace here for Yoshi. He gets the haste off. And again, the White Mage is set up to be the slowest one so that the heal is going off last thing each turn, which gets us healed. The setup is good now. Unrunnable water elementals for Crrool, but this is a great setup for Yoshi now. It's a matter of time. How long will Chaos hold out? Can Yoshi use Bane? Doesn't pick it up in this route, but the Black Mage damage is significant enough that we'll use it. Earthquake comes out. That's an insta-death if it lands. The ribbon protects us, though. Oh, Crrool with another water encounter. Comes Blaze again. This has been a slow Chaos just because he's using so many spells. Another 2,000 damage, another 1,000 damage. Chaos doesn't have long. And there it is. GG's in chat, please, for Yoshi. Our winner, the SRL time, is going to be 1:26:51. A fantastic run. I do believe that is Yoshi's best of the tournament. And Yoshi says that was 8.5 seconds behind PB pace. So a fantastic run. And it looks like we got Yoshi now. Very GG to you.
Hi, yeah, thanks. Wow. That was 8.5 seconds behind my PB.
And a tournament PB, but I mean, all those rares. You saw everything but Warmech.
Yeah, I've still not had a Warmech, touch wood. I've not seen Warmech once, but I've seen Iron Golems 4 times this tournament, so, you know, whatever happens, I guess.
That's how random works. We've got Crrool just about off the air floor and on to Chaos. I mean, you took the lead in Earth Cave and just never looked back, but sometimes the encounter table can just be really friendly. I mean, that volcano for you. Did you even take a single random encounter in there?
No, not in the volcano, no. The one that got me was I didn't get a single encounter from entering the 3rd floor of Earth Cave up to Vampire. And when I went back to do the 3rd floor the second time, I got 2 encounters on the 3rd floor.
Oh yeah, that was just crazy.
I don't think I could have asked for more, honestly. I went in, I was unsurprisingly nervous. Reigning champion, 2-time champion, and here I am, like, I learned the game 3 months ago, oh god, help. But, I mean, that was just a perfect run for it, really.
So so we have a best of 5 series. You gotta be feeling pretty good about your running through the game at this point, going into that.
Like, it's crazy to me how much I've improved over the space of this tournament, and I mean, if I get RNG like that again, I don't think there are many players who could win against that.
That's hard. That's some pretty good RNG. Is getting this set up here against Chaos. Well, any other thoughts on this one for you?
I mean, I was going to say with my run, I feel like about half of my runnable encounters were ambushes, which on the one hand is really bad because it means I got a lot of ambushes, but on the other hand is really good because it was only that way because I got like 2 encounters per area.
Yeah, you can't do much better than that. Crrool has got haste on both the Knight and Ninja now. Setup's pretty good. Should be alright from here. I think this is going to be a 131 for Crrool at this point, so a very reasonable time. Just... you had a great run.
Still a little overwhelmed, to be honest.
So you actually started this in June, correct?
Yeah, I learned the game early June, and I think I played through the route quite slowly, just to learn it. And the next day, did my first run, and a week later, I was racing it already. And before I knew it, I was here,
jumping right into the deep end.
Got Leonis to thank or blame for that one. So I found my stream as I was learning it and was like, "Hey, come join."
Chaos is down for Crrool. That is going to be an SRL time of 1:31:06. Not sure yet if Crrool is going to join us, but should have the invite now. Anything you're looking forward to as the tournament goes on?
I hope we get a third place match. No matter what happens in these 2 semi-finals, I really hope there's a third place playoff match. Just because I think the way this is all played out for all of the runners still in is really interesting. We've got, me and Sonny are both newcomers to the tournament, and Crrool and Claire are kind of the old guard. So it'd be nice to get that, and otherwise, no, I don't think I can ask for any more. I came into the tournament hoping I didn't embarrass myself in my first game, and just every round has just exceeded expectations from there.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, this was actually a tournament PB for you. I mean, if it's that close to your overall PB, then that's no surprise.
It's not. My other PB was also in the tournament. It was one of the matches against Kibitha.
Alright, well I had the wrong time on my notes. Shame on me. But we're going to put a wrap on this. Anything you want to add?
No, I think that's it for me.
Alright. Well, we've got links in the Discord that have been going on throughout. If people enjoy this, hope you'll check things out on the Discord. Thank you for joining us this Friday morning. Hope you've enjoyed, and have a great rest of your day.